Okay. So the schoolboy is very frustrated and very sad because he has to go to school instead of going to the fields, instead of having fun, he has to go to the school. Okay. Yeah, so let me start from the first of the poem once again, because last day one of you was telling me that I have gone very fast. So I am just going to do it slow. I love to rise in a summer morn. Let us first do text, then we will do grammar. Okay, we will do both little bit. In a summer morn, when the birds sing on every tree, the distant huntsman winds his horn, and the skylark sings with me. Oh, what sweet company. So the boy loves to wake up in the morning time, early morning time, when the birds are waking up. He likes to spend some time in the lap of nature with the birds, and he wants to sing with the skylark. But what does he have to do? Instead of waking up with the birds, instead of spending time with the birds, he has to go to school every morning. It drives, but to go to school in a summer morn, oh, it drives all joy away. Under a cruel eye outworn, the little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. Okay, so under a cruel eye outworn, I mean, imagine a school classroom where the teacher is sitting or standing and all the students are doing their work, and the teacher is as if looking at the students with a cruel expression, with a cruel eye, always trying to see who is talking, who is making a noise, who is making a disturbance in the class, who is sleeping in the class. All these things makes the teacher a cruel teacher, right? So generally this schoolboy doesn't like to spend his time in the classroom under the eye of the teacher. Outworn under the eye of the teacher, that means exhausted under the eye of the teacher. The little ones spend the day, yeah, I'm telling you, distant huntsman winds his horn. Yeah, it means that the huntsman, that means in their country it is more common than in here. There are people who hunt. They go out in the morning, they make a sound with their horn instrument. There's a sound which they make. Okay, they wind that instrument probably. Winds his horns means it can either mean he plays his horn or he makes his horn in the proper manner. Okay. So that sound can be heard by the boy. Okay, that winding of horn of the huntsman. I'll find it out about it exactly and let you know in the next class. Who asked me this? Roshni. I'll tell you what it is. Because we are not so much used with this winding horn in our country. Hunting, we do not have this allowed in our country, but in their country it was, in that time at least, a sport, a way in which people used to pass their time. So come back to the next this stanza. So under a cruel eye outworn, under the eyes of the teacher, the children are outworn, they are exhausted, they are weary, they are tired. They spend their day in sighing and dismay. All the little children, they spend their day in sighing, that why am I sitting here, always letting out a breath of disappointment. Okay, they are not feeling at all good and they are feeling very dismayed. That means hopeless, that why do we have to sit in the classroom, we can just go out and play, that would be wonderful. But instead of that, we are here caged like a bird, we are caged inside the classroom. Okay. Then at times I drooping sit and spend many an anxious hour. Nor in my book can I take delight, nor sit in learning's bower, worn through with the dreary shower. Okay, so this stanza might mean that he was still in the classroom. What I told you yesterday, I read the poem again and I thought that maybe it means that he was still inside the learning's bower. Bower means the enclosed space in which they are sitting. So whenever he is in the classroom, sometimes he feels bad. Yeah, this is a horn. A huntsman, they wind their horn. Find out what it is. Winding the horn. Maybe blowing the horn, I think. Yeah. So, then at times I drooping sit. Sometimes in the class itself I feel so sleepy that I become droopy. Okay, I become lazy, I sit in a drooping manner, I can't sit straight and spend many an anxious hour, nor in my book can I take delight. I spend many anxious hour means for a long time I feel very anxious, I cannot feel at peace, I feel very restless, always wanting to do something which I am not allowed to do. Nor in my book can I take delight, even though I like studying, I cannot take any kind of happiness, I cannot derive any happiness in my study books also. Nor sit in learning's bower. It means learning's bower means the classroom, the place where learning is happening. So I can't even sit still in the classroom because I am feeling so anxious, so out of energy at the same time. Okay. Worn through with the dreary shower. Dreary shower, here it might mean the dreary, same monotonous words spoken by the teacher on and on throughout the class. So that can be a dreary shower, okay, but still make mark over this line, find out what other meanings it can have. Dreary means forlorn, okay, something which is not having any hope. Shower usually means rain, so it can be a shower of words also. Very much lecture in school. Maybe boring, maybe the same lecture which the teacher is giving again and again. It makes the child very anxious, very restless and very bored at the same time. How can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? How can a child when fears annoy but droop his tender wing and forget his youthful spring? Okay. So, just like a bird who is not born to be kept at a cage, who is born to be let free to sing in the lap of nature instead of doing that, just like in your chapter Princess September. Okay, just that, remember that chapter, how that bird loved his freedom. So, the poet or the little boy, the narrator of the poem, he is wondering that how can a bird stay inside a cage and still sing? How can they feel happy? How can they feel joyful? Okay, because if they are kept in a cage, it is not possible for them to enjoy life, right? It is not possible for them to actually have any fun. Then similarly, how can a child when fears annoy but droop his tender wing? That means when the fears annoy the child, all the time he is being annoyed with the, yes, it is William Blake. Yes. He is William Blake and he is a very famous poet. Okay, very famous. Try to read two poems I am telling you. One poem is Chimney Sweepers. Chimney Sweepers by William Blake, read that, and then read Tiger. Okay, these two poems you read, they are very good. Okay, by William Blake. Just go through it on your internet only if you don't have the book. Okay, you can just check it up, Google it up. First poem name I said Chimney Sweeper, the Chimney Sweepers, I think. There are two versions of the Chimney Sweepers, read both and then read the poem Tiger. Okay. Now, so when a child is being annoyed with fears, all the time he is being made afraid, don't do this, don't do that, being afraid makes him very much annoyed, makes him very much disturbed, sit but droop his tender wing and forget his youthful spring. Because of the fears which are annoying him, what happens to the child? His tender wing is drooped. Okay, drooped means the tender wing means his tender childhood, probably they are meaning the tender childhood of the child. That means the innocent fun that he had, the laughter that he had, all these things are becoming without life. Okay, he is drooping, he is becoming like an old person who doesn't have hope or faith in life and forget his youthful spring, and he is losing all his energy. His youthful spring means the youthful part of his life. Okay, the youthful age of his life, when he is a child, when he is a young person, when he should feel so much spirited because of being enclosed in a classroom throughout the day instead of being let out into the playground or being let out into the lap of nature. Since the child is being enclosed inside the classroom, what is happening is that the child is losing all his energy. He is losing his hopes for living. He is feeling as if his youth is being drained away from him. Okay, and that's why he blames the fears which are being given to him in the form of a classroom, okay, by the teacher. Yes, one of you have shared the poem. Very good. Let me read it a little bit because I have read it many days back. Chimney sweeper, yes. So read it on your own, read it when you are not in the company of others. Read it on your own. Try to find out the pathos of the poem, okay, and then read the poem Tiger. That is also very, very good. Try to understand. Though it is like you might be reading about tiger in some of your, I don't know if in CBSE if that poem is included or not, but it's also very good. Okay, so I'll tell you something more about that poem at some other time. Today let me just concentrate on this, and as I said, little bit of grammar we will do today. Oh father and mother, if birds are nipped, so the schoolboy is directly telling his father and mother, if birds are nipped, means when the bird or the before the flower has been flower has blossomed, if you nip it in the bud, what will happen? The flower will not come, right? And blossoms blown away. If you nip the bud and the blossom blows away, and if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in the springing day by sorrow and care's dismay, how shall the summer arise in joy or the summer fruits appear? So he is just giving an example. He is comparing himself to a newly blossoming flowering plant, and he is saying that if you try to nip the bud before the blossom comes, or if the whatever little blossom has come, if it is blown away by wind, how can a fruit come in the tree? Okay, if the flower does not exist, then the fruit will not come, and if the flower and the fruit does not come, how can there be a proper working of nature? As the plants need the natural light, the natural surrounding, nobody should force them, nobody should change them according to their own need. Similarly, consider me also as something like that. I am also a creation of nature, and you should treat me as tenderly as possible. You should not force me to go inside a classroom and enclose me into the four walls when my spirit wants to be free. It wants to discover the joys of nature instead of being enclosed in an environment which is both suffocating me and robbing me of my youth. Okay, so this is how he addresses his parents at the end. So this poem is like a casual complaint also, you can say, of a child complaining to his parents for not allowing him to play in the summertime, but rather forcing him to go to school, or you can take it to a different dimension as well. Okay, it is all on you, okay, how you interpret the poem. Now I will again discuss this poem, where obviously we will be discussing more on this, but let me just do a little bit of grammar today since I promised a few of you. Yes, this is the poem Tiger. These poems are so beautiful that just by reciting these poems you will be filled with so much energy. Both the poems which I said and Chandranath has shared, just read them, recite them on your own, and you will see you will be filled with so much energy. That is the beauty of poetry, you know. It is not supposed to be taught in a class, but it's supposed to be done. That means it's supposed to be recited on your own and felt on your own. Okay, now let us come to one chapter, that is past tense. We have not started that chapter. We have a little bit of time left, right? 3:35 the class will get over. Is it? So take out page number 73 in your grammar book. Can you see this part of the board? Yeah. (3:30) the class will get over, or 3:35. When does your next class begins? So past tense talks about events which has happened in the past. Okay, simple past, then past continuous, past perfect and past perfect continuous. These are the 4 forms of the past tense. Let us deal with the forms of these past, perfect, continuous. Okay, so let us just deal with the forms of this 4 and the uses that we have of this 4. Okay, when do we use the past, simple past tense? Simple past tense is used to talk about a past habit, okay, or the action which has happened before the time of speaking. So any kind of past regular habit, you will use the simple past tense. You are talking about an action which has been completely completed. That means it has completed itself in the past. When I am talking, it is not present at that moment. For that, we will use the past tense. Okay. Then for narrating stories also, often we use the simple past tense. This is the second form of the verb, okay, or the V2 form of the verb. In its simple form is the simple past tense. Then come to simple continuous tense. Simple continuous tense is used for talking about event which was happening continuously at a certain point in the past. So the form is was or were plus ing form of the verb. This is the formula for the past continuous tense. Okay? Past perfect tense had plus V3. Past perfect tense is used when you are talking about an event which has happened in the earlier past, but it's still continuing, or the effect is still there in the later past at which you are talking about. That means if 2 events excuse me, if 2 events are happening simultaneously in the past, the event which has completed itself in the earlier past will take the past perfect form and the other event will take the simple past form. This is one use of past perfect tense. And mostly to report a completed action in the past, in the reporting speech, we often use the past perfect tense. Okay, so the formula for past perfect tense is had plus V3. Next come to past perfect continuous tense. So this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3 and this is number 4. Past perfect continuous tense is had plus been plus ing form of the root verb. Okay. Past perfect continuous is there, I think. Yeah. Had plus been plus ing form of the root verb. When is it used? It is used to show an action that had been going on before another past action. It was happening continuously at a certain point in the earlier past when another action of the later past was also happening. Suppose I say, My mother had been watching a movie when I came back from school. Okay, like that. This question, the statement which I gave you contains a past perfect continuous tense. Somebody has been doing an action which had begun some earlier time, and she had started watching the television somewhere early, but still now when I went back home, even at that time my mother was still watching the television. So I will say my mother had been watching television when I came back home, or watching a movie when I came back home. Came back home, that means this one is also in the past tense. Understood? So this special usages are there for which we use the past perfect continuous tense. So had plus been plus ing form of the root verb. Okay. So for today I am going to stop. A little bit we can do is had plus been plus verb plus yes. You can write this. That is the correct way of writing it. Now come to the first exercise. The first two exercises are very easy. Complete it on your own. Next day I am going to ask you what you have done. Do it with pencil in the book. A, B and C. All three of them. I will be discussing from those exercises on my next class. Thank you, students. Bye, students.